Hello, class. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
Good, sir.
Okay. Sorry, I was having challenge with my account. I could not unmute myself. So sorry for keeping you waiting. I hope we are all doing well. Okay, so let's continue. Now I'll be giving the access to do that now. So I hope the rest can hear me from your end.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So last week we started with the introduction to our data communication. So today we are going to continue. We look at the basis to data communication and networking. We look at the various principles that are involved in data communication. And we also identify the components of data communication and then networking. Then we came back and look at the data communication, the components that involve in data communication. Look at the two main components, the hardware component and then the software. And it's further divided into 5, where we have the sender, which is a sending device. And then we have the receiver, the device receiving it. We also look at the message to be sent, the transmission medium, and finally, we look at the set of rules that define how data should be transmitted on the transmission medium or on the network. So we discuss them. Then we further look at the characteristics of data communication network. We look at the factors that need to be considered, data communication network. We also look at networking and its advantages. And finally, we concluded on the various requirements for data communication. So I want to find out from you if you have any question or concern before we continue today's own. Are you going to read anything? The mode of data communication, we look at it. Have you read something which have given you more insights, or you have come across something that you don't understand and you want a further clarification before we proceed? Any question? Okay. If no question, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If no question, it means that all that we have discussed, you are fine with it. Because I remember talking about the transmission mode, the simplest, half duplex, and the full duplex. So I don't know. I remember talking about the classification of computer network, where we look at the 3 main classification: network by range, network by topology, and then we also look at network by functional relationship. And I think we ended it there. And look, we have outstanding of the standards. Or did we discuss the standard also? Standards and protocols. Hello? Or we finish everything? Hey. Different class. Am I talking to different group of people?
No, sir.
Yeah, so do we discuss the standards, the de facto standards and the jury standards? I hope we have done that, right?
Sir.
Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Hey, are you sure? De facto standards and the de jure standards.
No.
So which one do you remember we have discussed? Because all the rest I mentioned them, I didn't hear from you.
Yeah, the ones you mentioned, we did it last week, including the types.
Come again.
As I'm saying, yes, last week we talked about the types too. The
Types of
networks.
yes. And we didn't add standards to it.
Yes, so if you can start from there, we'll be very grateful.
Who remember it? Because I want to hear that, oh, we have done it. But because I ended it there, that is the end of your reading. Okay. Let me do this quickly. Okay, now when you talk of standards, after looking at the classification of computer networks, which we put them into three main categories, standard defines how the communication devices will transmit on the network, and then how the communication devices should also be manufactured. So the standard serves as a benchmark for our day-to-day activities in networking. So when you look at every institution or every organization, there are organizational memories that are left or that are used as a guide for doing things in a particular organization. So when you come to networking also, it required from us certain ways that we need to comply, how things need to be done. So the standard layout or procedure of which things need to be done is what we are referred to as standards. So if I'm not mentioning that is it. So a standard is a set of procedures and benchmarks employed to comply with a requirement set forth in policies, how things are supposed to be done. A standard should always be a deliberation of policy, as it is a second step in process of a company's policy propagation. So in way of doing things, either the way you produce your product and services or goods and services that you render, there should be order in which the thing needed to be done. Even the food that you cook, there are procedures. If you go to these food vendors, they have a procedure, the menu that they follow all the time. So in networking and then in data communication, there are some procedures that you need to follow. And these procedures are being controlled by a regulating body, which is known as standard bodies. So we have ATU, we have IEEE, we have other standards that define how things need to be done in the industry in various ways. So for our data communication, the importance of standards is to ensure that we have this interconnectivity between devices. Otherwise, someone will be in America, produce a device, and then you'll be at UK, you may not be able to use that device for communication. But here we are in Ghana, we don't produce our own communication gadgets. We get them from China, we get them from India, we get them from any of the European countries. So there should be standards covering how those devices need to be produced and how we can use them. So the most important reasons or important things why standards are required is 1, for interconnectivity, and 2, for interoperability. It will ensure that devices are able to communicate seamlessly, and if a component needs to be fixed or removed from a particular system, it's supposed to get another one from a different vendor who is supposed to fit without necessarily coming from the same vendor. You can't say that, oh, because my phone is Nokia, I can't put any SIM in it. Because my phone is this particular type, I can't use this component. There are some standard requirements that all communicating devices must face. If it's a computer, we talk about memories, we talk about hard disk, talk about screen. Once the thing is a hardware device and it's made for a particular class of or series of devices, they should be able to interconnect. For instance, hard disk. You can't say that, oh, my computer is HP, so I cannot use Samsung hard disk. My computer is Dell, so I cannot use HP hard disk. There are some companies that produce hard disk. So when those companies are producing the hard drive, they should produce it in a way that it can fit into any computer, if it's a laptop or desktop. That is the purpose of standards for interoperability, interconnectivity. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I with you.
Okay, good. Now, without standard, it will be difficult for us to have this interconnectivity. Since devices communicate from one end to another, we have devices like switches, we have routers that intercommunicate. There should be the communication across the various platforms. Then the devices must be seamless, either being Vodafone, being Windows or Linux, HP products or their products. The communication should be seamless. So that's the purpose of the standard. Now, there are two main types of standards that are required. We have what we call the jury standards and then de facto standard. So manufacturers are required to adhere to these standards. Please check for me. And these are the two standards that we have. Please, a minute. Then when you are dealing with, if you are a manufacturer, whatever you produce must be of a higher standard quality. It must also meet the requirement of the industry. So now these two, I want to find out, how will you explain the difference between the two standards? These are the basic standards that we have. De facto standards and the de jure standards. Anyone with an idea about any of them? Hello? De facto standard and de jure standard. All right. Then let me explain. Now, when you said a standard is a de facto standard, then it is a type of standard that is not backed by law. A standard that is not backed by law. So violation of such standard, you are not liable for any prosecution. But it will go a long way to affect your own system or performance. So you are advised to follow the standard, but it is not something that someone will prosecute you. Example is about our cable termination, which we are going to do. When you come to face, we have a practical thing that we'll do, practical lesson that we'll have on termination. Now, there's a standard that defines how these cables are supposed to be terminated. Now, those standards are standards that are given out by the regulatory body, ISO. but they are not backed by law. So it is up to you to follow it in order to get a thing done the way you want it to be done. But if you decide that you will not follow it, you do it your own way, even though you may have challenges, but there's no law backing it to prosecute you because of that, you will decide to do it your own way. So companies decide to maintain standard in order to achieve a certain level of quality in their service delivery. So based on that, they come out with protocols or particular guidelines that guides them, and that is what they follow, and they are able to achieve their results without anybody putting a gun on them or chasing them with police to do it. But because they want to achieve a particular level of quality delivery, they always go by that. And then international bodies also prescribe the way the things should be done, and they adhere to it. So that is a typical example of de facto standard. Are we fine?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, the other one, which is the jury standard. The jury standard. That is as the name goes, the jury is a type of standard that is backed by law, and a violation of this standard can lead to prosecution. So any individual, company, or a group of persons that do not abide by the standard, the person can be prosecuted based on the standard guidelines that is being given by the regulatory bodies. And in Ghana, we have our local laws that back our activities in terms of data communication and the networking. We also have the international laws that govern the industry. So depending on what you are doing, you are required to abide by it. As a typical example of the de facto standard that's governed by law is data protection. Now, it is required that in Ghana here, if you have someone's data as an IT professional, data communication expert, network engineer, or your administrator, even the fact that you have the data, it does not mean that you should disclose it or you should handle it anyhow. There is a way you have to keep that data. So you have to go by the order which the law states. Those of you who care, you can go to the net and download it and read. This data protection 2012 at 843. Data protection 2012 at 843. It is a regulation that defines how you can handle data in Ghana here. That is our local rules that govern data handling. So we call it data protection. Are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Another one, cyber security. We have cyber security 2020 and then 2021, which is also another regulation that governs how to handle cyberspace. Since Ghana was going digitization, that act was also given. Data protection 2020 at 1038. You can also download that one and know. These are all principles governing how cyberspace should be handled. So things that involve the digital storage, social media, information transfer and handling is being governed. If you have access to someone's account, it does not mean that you should break into it and then do anything that you want. You are being guided. The fact that I have access to the internet connection does not mean that you should do anything at all, even though you have the access. So that is about standard. That one is backed by law. And then we have the international ones that also govern the use. That's the cybersecurity law international. That one, even if you commit crime over here and you are in Ghana and then you are being caught, you can be brought to book according to the regulation concerning the use of the internet. So these are the two main standards when you come to data communication that you are supposed to know. And in Ghana here, I want to encourage all of you, go and download the Data Protection Act 2012 at 843 and then Cybersecurity 2020 or 2021 at 1038 and read and then be sure of what to do when you are in the industry. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Any question?
It's clear, sir.
All right. If no question, then that is the one that I left out. If you say I didn't teach. So now, is anybody having a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, continue.
Okay, so now we can move on to the next topic. Can read this and ask yourself the necessary question that we have there. Now, we're supposed to do the fundamentals of data and signal. But since we have dealt with the networking, the purpose, and then this, I want us to look at the models that are involved in networking. After we are done, then we come back and look at the data that needs to be transmitted and how it's supposed to be transmitted. And we look at the difference between signals and data, and then the various channels that are used for data communication and transmission. So I'll proceed to layers, the layers that we have in data communication and networking. Now, for the purpose of evidence, those of you who are there, kindly write down this, jot these objectives down to serve as a record for our lesson for today. Network models. We'll look at the two models that we have, the OSI and the TCP/IP. So kindly write them down and then let's continue. Are you done?
Yes, sir. It's written, sir.
Okay. Now, when you talk about network models, we refer to the reference point, the standard which govern how data should be transmitted in the network environment. Since we know data communication involves sending of the process of exchanging data or sending data from one networking device to another. This data that we are transmitting or sending from one networking device to another, they pass through different medium, different devices before getting to their destination. What defines them and what governs the way they should move is what we are referring to as the network models. In fact, data communication cannot be complete without a network infrastructure. So in data communication and networking, it is like two components or the two courses are interdependent on each other. The data communication deal with the principles, the rules that govern how the data need to move from one end to another. And the network involved with the establishing or setting up building up the infrastructure to allow the communication to take place. So mostly you cannot talk about data communication in isolation, neither can you talk about networking in isolation. Both move together. So that's why we have to look at this concept and see how job is done. Now, before we entered into the 20th centuries, those of you who were in 90s, those age, you'll be writing letters, and then you always come out with the expression that the brightness of the day give me this to write you these letters and so on. Then you go and look for writing pad, nice ones, depending on the person who will be receiving the message. I believe some of you have done this before. Do you have some people who still write letters today?
So not really.
But has anybody here who have experienced that?
Yes, sir.
Good. That means you are senior. You are a senior man.
Yeah, now I see just
Now, you know, people go to the cafeteria or the dining hall just because they want to go and receive letter. And sometimes if you don't receive these letters, you will also not be considered as someone who is also around.
Yeah,
So
very true.
Good. And then the type of writing pad used will determine the type of information and the person who is receiving it. So those days, if you wanted to go fast, you go and buy EMS, and then you express it. So those are all form of communication. Now, we have moved out from that age, and we have come to the age where we now sit in the comfort of your room or your office with your device, then you are able to send message to someone of your choice across the globe. You don't necessarily need to travel or go to post office to go and buy a stamp and then drop the letter and be hoping that 3 weeks time I'll get a response. So that is the principles. And then data communication was based, for this data transmission, was based on that principle that you go buy the writing pad, write your letter, buy an envelope, put the letter in an envelope, seal it, then drop it at the post office. Then later, the postmaster will come, sort the letter out according to their destination. Then will now find a means of transport, package it, and they dispatch the letters. When it goes to other side, when it gets to the nearest or the destination town, the postmaster over there also receive the package, rearrange them, distribute them according to their addresses, and then finally put them into their boxes or those box numbers that they put on it, and the individual receive the letter and then read and know the content. This was the formal way of communication. Today, the model is defined based on that, using what we call OSIRM and then TCP/IP models to define how the data should move from one end to another. So we'll be looking at this scenario to explain what is meant in networking models. Now, two things that comes in here. If you come to data communication, we talk about the software part and then the hardware, which involve the sender, the receiver, transmission medium, and then the message itself. Then when we come to the software, a set of rules that are used governing the transmission. So in order to make the work or the transmission simple, the task has been divided into layers or sub layers. And these layers are grouped into three main categories. We have the upper layers, which are responsible for making the person or the user or giving him or her the ability to compose or to write the information or the data or the message. And then the middle layer involves the means by which the message will be transmitted. Then the lower layer involves the physical components where the letter will be dropped. In this case, like the post office, where the letter will be dropped and then be sorted out and then make it ready for it to be carried out. Now, when it gets to the other end, the reverse of the process begins. Postmaster receive it, redistribute it through the means by which to go, and then it gets to a final person to receive. So in data communication, the same process happens. We'll have the sender preparing the message, and the message will be put in a format that will be made available for transmission. Then it will be packaged. After packaging it, it will now decide the path. After packaging, decide the means by which to be sent. That is the transport mode. Then after it has been agreed upon, then the path by which it will take to get to the destination. And then when it gets to the destination, now it will be received from the physical component. Now, finally, it will go through the reverse of the transmission, and then the receiver will now receive the information. So that is the layered way or the concept that's involved in the data transmission. Are we fine up to this point before we go into the breakdown?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we have these layers responsibility. The higher layer, which is the one that the sender writes the message, as I've explained. Then we have the middle layer, which is the one that, or the letter when it is picked, and the postmaster do the delivery to the post offices. And then the lower layer, post office, they sort it out and make it ready for the carrier to be sent away. So the reverse will take place over here. Now, when we come to through the hierarchy, we come to the OSI model. These are layers that define how the data should be transmitted. And it is made up of 7 layers. And each of them is responsible for preparing the message for transmission, and then also at the receiving end, preparing the message, making it available for the user to receive the message. So if you look at it, how this is done, as I spoke about standards, there's a standard way of doing it. So we say that the OSI reference model is a standard method or procedure of sending data or transmitting data through 7 layers. And this is being regulated by an international body called ISO. So even though you see that the OSI and the ISO, they are similar characters, but they are arranged in the opposite. So you see that the OSI, the full meaning is Open System Interconnection, whilst the ISO is International Organization for Standardization. Please don't go and mention it as International Standard Organization. It is not like that. It is International Organization for Standardization. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please pay attention to it. So the ISO, it is an international body that regulates how data communication and communication equipment and devices should be manufactured and how they're supposed to adhere to the system. Then the ISO defined the procedure, how the communication should take place. So note the difference between the two. They are not the same. Now, when we come to the arrangement, there are specific way by which you can remember this. Even though they are 7 in layers, you don't mention them or list them anyhow. They have to pass through, or they have to be mentioned in a specific order. So when you are mentioning them or you are arranging them, you have to ensure that you follow the procedure. And it's a simple way of doing it. So we have 2 ways. One is on the slide, which you can use to remember. If you don't want to go by the order, the way it is arranged on the screen, then you have to mention them with reference numbers. So always you can start by either from the top or from the bottom. So if you are starting from the top, Then you start with application, presentation, session layer, transport, network, data link, and physical. It has to be part of you. If you are starting from the bottom, then you go with the physical, data link layer, network, transport layer, session, you come to the presentation and application. Now, how will you remember this? Application is the number 7, and the physical is number 1. So top down, I want everybody to write this thing down. Top down, how you can remember it easily. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, top down, you start. All people seems to need data processing. It's on the screen. All people seems to need data processing, where the first characters represent the layers. So everybody, at least remember this, write it down and remember it before you leave this class today and go and reference it, because it's going to be a foundation to all your studies relating to data communication and networking. All people seems to need data processing. We are going to explain the function of each of the layers, the protocols that work on it, as well as the devices that work on it. In fact, it serves as a basis for troubleshooting. Those of you who are technical personnel, you understand it better. Those of you who are not yet, you also understand. And now, when you are getting it from the bottom up, if you want to mention the layers from the bottom up, you also go by this. Hello, are you following what I'm saying here?
Yes, sir.
Good. So now we have from bottom up, that is the physical data link up to application. You can say that, please do not throw special pizza away. Please do not throw special pizza away. I believe some people here enjoy pizza. If you can remember this, then you can easily mention it in order of reference. In fact, if it's an examination and you have to list and explain, you have to make sure you mention them in order of reference, and then the numbers. Either you write them in order of reference without numbers, or you mention them and you indicate the numbers. So, for example, you can say that number 4 is a transport layer. Number 3 is a network. Number 7 is application. Number 1, physical. If you do this, if you mention them like that, then you are safe. But if you don't mention with the reference numbers and you just mention them, application, transport, physical, and you go to session, presentation, no, that one you will be marked wrong because we don't mention them anyhow. Are we fine?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. All right. So now we have to go and explain. This is the way the layers are arranged. Top down, please, if you write, draw the arrow top down. All people seems to need data processing, top down. Then bottom up is, please do not throw special pizza away. Another person who taught us this one time, one Indian lecturer says that, you can say, please do not trust a sales girl anymore. So any of them that you can remember. Okay, now these layers are subdivided in this form. 3 boxes or 3 layers, upper, middle, and lower. The upper layers comprise of 3 main layers: application, presentation, and session. Then the lower layer and the middle layer is transport, and then the lower layer comprises with the what we call the physical layer, and then data link layer and the network layer. They form the lower. So look at the arrow by which these devices are supposed to transmit. Taking into consideration 2 devices, A and B, they are to transmit data. And A now become the sender and the B becomes the receiver. How the data move? The arrow indicates it all. The A will send starting from application. Just like today, you use your WhatsApp to send message to someone, or those of you use Instagram, you use the Facebook, email, you can name them, any of the social media app. When the moment you open it, like the WhatsApp is the commonest one, you are at the application layer. So the application layer will help you to compose your mail or whatever you want to do. Then afterwards, the next layer will put it in the format for transmission. Next one will help you to package it and then secure it for transmission. At the end of the day, establish a connectivity. So the application layer, by way of definition or an explanation, we say that it is the layer that is closest to the user, and it enables the users to interact with the system. Are we fine? A layer that is close or closest is a layer that is close to the user, or it is the closest layer to the user, which enables the user to interact with the system. Are we fine? Am I online?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then there are some protocols that operate over there, a number of them. You can have the DNS, DHCP, we have the FTP, we also have the TFTP, SMTP, and so on. There are a number of them. That's a protocol. Now, when the message is composed, it moves down to the next layer, which is presentation. Now, the presentation layer, what it does is it's responsible for presenting the message or putting it in a format that will be made ready for transmission. Let me show you. See the arrow from A, the first one down, and then here through the medium to the other side. Now, let's go and look at this diagram. Take it to give you a pictorial view. Can you all see the image on my screen?
Yes.
So if you are moving from A to B, remember there are a number of devices. We refer to them as hub points or intermediary devices that the message may go through. You, the sender, you have no idea about those devices. So what the only thing you do is that you compose your message. Then before it will get to its final destination, at presentation layer, the message will be put in a format that will make it available for transmission. Just as you cannot buy a writing pad after writing and then just go and then put the paper in the post office or in the post box. In like manner, the message cannot just leave your device like that. So the message on the device must be repackaged, and the repackaging takes place at the presentation layer. So some things happen there. Number one, we have encryption. Encryption is done such that the message will not be intercepted by unauthorized person. Even if it is done, the person will not understand it. So that is what happened at the presentation layer. Then two, the letter that you write on your writing pad, you cannot just send it just like that. You have to package it and put it in an envelope to prevent it from people who chance on it looking at the content. So apart from the encryption that you do, you also preserve it. That is the compress. You compress it and make it packable for it to be transmitted. That's why if you are sending something by DHL, whatever, however you package it, when they come, they will also put it in their envelope in order to identify it and then make it more safer for transmission. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Then the next one, session layer. After you have presented the message in the format that will be ready for transmission, how will it move from A to B? That one, you, the user, don't have a control. But the device must ensure how it can get it. The system will ensure it can get it there. So the device will ensure that. So there's something we call session. So during the session layer, there are three things that will happen at the session layer. One, it will establish the connection between the device and its destination or the destination device. Then two, after establishing the contact, it will also ensure that it maintains that session so that the data can move or can be fully transmitted, or if it's about conversation, it will be fully sustained for you to finish your conversation before it ends. So that is the second one. So first, establishing connection or session, then two, maintaining the session, and the third one, after you have done any of the transaction that you want to do, then the system have to bring it to an end. So it terminates the session. So these are the three things that occur at the session layer. I hope it's clear to all of you. Okay, now transport. Transport layer. After the connection has been established, session is created. How will the data now move from one end to the another? Remember, session layer will not do all the work at a go. It has to ensure that when the session connection is established, there should be a means by which the data will reach the final destination. What happens, just like you call someone and the person pick the phone, the way you talk, the system must sustain your discussion till you end. So when it comes to transport layer, the transport layer is responsible for moving the packet or the data or information from A to its final destination. So we say that the transport layer is responsible for end-to-end delivery of message. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
that is
sir.
the transport. So this one could be by road. These days we have tricycle, we have motorbike, we have plane, we also have bus and then ship and so on. Then the next one is network. Network layer, which is number 3. After you have decided the means by which the data will be sent, after you have decided by means by which your letter will be delivered, is it by car or by bicycle or tricycle? Which of the routes will you use? That is where network comes in. So network layer is responsible for, one, determining the best path of packets. Determining the best path of packets. That is the function or duty of a network layer. Then two, we have something we call logical addressing. Logical addressing. That is where the IP address will be assigned, and then it will be unique to that device, and then that IP address will be used for determining the destination of where the packet is going from the network where it is leaving. So that is the function. Then another thing that it does here is that it also carry out what we call flow control. There's a bit of flow control and error detection. Even though there's another one to add a network and transport layer, over here there's a means of controlling the flow to the end because there's TCP available. TCP and IP work together. So you control the traffic and ensure that they get to its final destination. Are we fine with this one also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the type of device that work over here, we have router, which is one of the typical example. I know you might have a long day, but you have to manage. I'll close soon. Because of your ages, I'll do only the TCP and only the OSI. I'll discuss the TCP or summarize it and finish it for you. Okay, so let's go on. The next one, data link layer. Data link layer also is a layer that is responsible for error detection and flow control. We have error detection and correction mechanism. It's responsible for error detection and flow control, or error detection and correction mechanism. It does two main things. One, we have what we call MAC, media access control, otherwise known as physical addressing. Physical addressing. Then the second part is the control, which is a logical link control, LLC. Logical link control, LLC. This is the one that ensures that if you have a data packet of 10 MB and the 10 MB is being transmitted, because this whole 10 MB cannot be moved in a bulk, it will be divided into subunits, and then each of them will have a routing information protocol, and they will have their destination IP and the source IP and the port number, everything that they need to deliver. Then they'll move out in different paths. But before then, there will be a calculation that will be done to ensure that there is a parity bit, or there is a amount of bit placed on it in order to check to ensure that the size is being validated, so that when it gets to its final destination, the check will be done again to check what is the size of the original data that was sent and what is the size that has been received. If there is a variation or disparity between the two, then the receiver will now re-inform the sender that the document you have sent or the data you have sent, I have received it, but this is the size that I've got. Can you please check and resend it again? That thing goes on until the right size is received, then become normal. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Good. So data link. Remember, I said it is the layer that does error detection and then also physical addressing. Error detection and physical addressing. So we'll talk about physical addressing, then you are referring to layer 2. So that is about the data link layer. Then the final layer we have is the physical layer. Physical layer is a layer where there's a physical connectivity and there's also a transmission of the rare bit stream. The bit stream, that is zeros and one. So in your computer's environment or in your computing environment, you always connect your cable to your machine or whatever. If it's a pen drive that you want to transmit the thing from, you connect it to the device. Whatever you want to do, there's a physical connectivity, and there's a transfer, physical transmission of data, physical transmission of bits in the form of zeros and one. As you can see, example is here, zeros and one. You can transmit this. Can you all see this?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So you can see from the data link layer, it moved down to the physical layer of the rare bit of zeros and ones. And then it passes through the transmission medium. And this medium could be either wired or wireless. And when it gets to the receiver, the receiver receives it from the physical medium, and then the reverse of all that has happened from the transmission side will be done in the receiving end to ensure that the data is done in the order or received in that order. If there is variation in what I will receive, then the receiver will send an acknowledgement message to the sender to resend the packet or the data. It will try several times. If it's not possible, then it will drop the packet. So that is about the OSI reference model. There are a number of devices that work over there. We have your non-managed switches, your hub, your network interface cards, all of them. They are all on layer 1. And then they have the connection done for the physical transmission, physical connectivity, and a bitstream transmission to take place. Any question on this? Okay, so now I can confidently say that everybody here have understood the data transmission or data communication based on the layered architecture that we have, 7 layers. How you can reference it, you have given you the clue. You start from the top down or you start from the down up. Any of them is allowed. Just that you have to be in order. Now look at it. At the down here, is a transmission of data to and from physical layer. To and from physical layer. That's what happened. Any question on it? Okay, the next time we meet, we'll be talking about the bit rate and the bit rate per seconds and so on. That'll be done later. Simplex, half duplex, and so on, you know them. So basically, that is about OSI model. Have I made myself clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. So the rest, please take time and read through the material, and then you get more things. I've talked about them in summary form, from application, presentation, session, transport layer, network, data link, and physical. All of them has been summarized for you. Now, if no question, then I think I'm done with this one. The next thing that I have to do is the TCP IP. Then we are out of here. I hope you appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please try this question on your own. Try your hands on these questions. What is the OSI model? List 8 layers and explain their responsibility in exactly 1 line. I hope I've done that for you in the summarized form. And then explain how the communication takes place between layers of OSI model. This one to have done it. Then differentiate between the networking of data link layer. Differentiate between the networking of data link layer and the network layer and transport layer. So you should know the function of each of them. The data link layer, and then the transport layer, and the network layer. I hope everybody here can do that differentiation. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. I only forgot to mention the protocol that occur in transport layer. We have the UDP and then TCP. UDP and TCP. When you come to the network layer, you have the IP there that we can talk about. Or we can talk about the routing protocols. They are all part of the network protocols. All right, so on this note, let's move to TCP IP. Then we are out of here in the next 5-10 minutes. Rest, you go and read on, and we'll meet again, God willing, next week. All right, so having come to this far, we have been able to understand what OSI model is. We know the layers that made up the OSI, and then we also look at the protocols and devices that operate on each of them. Now, the next thing that we need to understand is about TCP IP model, because this is the second one. Now, this TCP IP is also the second layer that we discuss. We are supposed to know, please jot the objective down so that you make it as a record in your lesson. Write the objectives down, everybody. We need to understand what the TCP IP is about, and then you must understand the basis of TCP IP model. And then finally, understand the functions of the different layers and then the protocols that are involved. These are the key things that you need to know in this unit. Once you get this, you are done. Now, with TCP IP, in fact, these two are different protocols. TCP, the full meaning is Transmission Control Protocol. And then the IP is Internet Protocol. They are two different protocols that were developed 2 different times. And they were meant to work separately, or they started working separately. You know the story of ARPANET. ARPANET, which was developed by Department of Defense. Department of Defense, DOD, that's the American Army unit. They had in mind of moving information from one military camp to another, and then one university campus also to another. If you have heard about the story of Julius Caesar, gentleman who offered himself to use his head as a means of transmission of information from one end to enemy's camp, which the people didn't know. They passed through the enemy's camp, they searched him, nothing was found on him. But when he get to his people, they remove the hair and they found the information under the head. I don't know how many of us today will be ready to do that sacrifice. So to avoid human beings or human intervention of transmitting information from one camp to another, they decided to task the Department of Defense to use their research network to develop a protocol which will be able to transmit data from one end to another. So protocol was developed from that place, and we have what we call TCP. If you read the story about 79 there about, which was responsible for only controlling the traffic flow control. That's what TCP was capable of doing, but not able to identify a destination of the packet. Then later, around 81, thereabout, another one was developed, which was able to determine the destination, and that is IP. So IP can determine the destination, but can also not control the traffic. So these two protocols were used separately, and they finally decide 82, 83. Why can't put these two protocols together? So that whilst TCP is responsible for flow control, and then IP is responsible for, is very good in determining the destination, so the two can work together. That's how in 83, 81 to 85 was fully established, and the two protocols were joined together, and they call them TCP IP. TCP IP, and this is how it has come about. And today, it has become a model for data communication. That's what brought about this internet communication, able to move data from one end to another without any struggle, across different platforms seamlessly without any challenge. And that's how it came about. So, having come to this far, we therefore refer to TCP IP as protocol stack because it has a number of protocols that were put together. Now, in this area also, it has been divided into 4 because they try to enhance the performance. So they decided to combine the first 3 at the top to form one layer, which is called application layer. If you look at the initial one that we look at, we have the upper layers, which we said they are closer to the users. We have the middle layer, responsible for selecting the transport means by which data will move, and then the lower layer, which is responsible for the receiving the message and then also sorting the message according to their respective boxes or PG boxes. So we have these 4 layers. Now, the top 3 that have been combined, they form application layer. Then transport remain the same, no change. And then the network has also been replaced with internet. And then we have let me show you here. We have the last one, which is the data link layer, and then the physical has also been combined to form what we call a network frame or network layer. So in order to remember these layers, we can also use this as a form of remembrance or acronym to remember it. We can mention it as ATIN, ATIN, where A stands for application, and then we have the T for transport, the I for internet, and then the N for network. So that is the simplest way you can also remember this particular layer. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Good. So in order of reference, this is how it goes. Application first, followed by, sorry, not first at the down, at the top. So that is the number 4. Then transport comes in as number 3 there. And then we have your network as your number 2 from the down. And then we have the host or the network frame as number 1. So this is the combination of how the TCP IP is also arranged. Any question on it before I conclude? Hello, my people. I know you are tired, but let's finish. Okay, now, if you have gotten it, let's do the comparison. Now, the functions of each of the layers remain the same. Application is the closest layer, or is the layer that is closest to the users that allow users to interact with the system. The function is the same. Protocols that operate on it here, there are more of them. Let me show you. They are here. More protocols. We have FTP, we have the Telnet, we have the HTTP, DNS, SMTP, TFTP, we have the DHCP, and so on. They are all here. So look at it. First 3, application, presentation, session combined. Now when you map it to the TCP, here is it, that's application. So these are the protocols. Then when you come to the transport, we have the TCP, UDP. Now, TCP, another name for TCP is called connection-oriented protocol. And then another name for UDP is connectionless-oriented protocol. TCP, the full meaning, transmission control protocol. UDP, user datagram protocol. This one is connectionless oriented. When you send message, it doesn't wait for the response. It keep on sending. Because of that, it is smart. It is fast in transmission, but it is not reliable. Then when you come to TCP, TCP is a type of protocol that always required feedback whenever a message has been sent. Based on that, it is very reliable, but it is also not fast because it has to ensure and wait that it gives feedback to the sender before it will continue to send another thing. Whilst with the UDP, once the message is delivered, it continues delivering without waiting for response. Are we here?
Yes, sir.
Good. So now, there is a need for us to have a combination of the two so that we can have the speed, we can also have the reliability. And this has been provided by another protocol called SCTP, Stream Control Transmission Protocol. This one has the ability of managing the speed and at the same time the reliability. And that is what we have developed and is used for streaming, this online video streaming and the multimedia content streaming that we have today. And today, most of our content are all about streaming, live streaming. Everybody wants to create a content so that people can see. Others want to watch a live video or live feed, like football. I know most of you here, you would like me to close early so I go and prepare for the evening match. I hope some of you have already prayed towards the match for the victory. So please, already there's a news. I don't know whether it's a news to go by or not. Let's pray that as you are going to stream, it is this protocol that is going to help you to do that streaming. So you have to know when you are streaming, you should remember the class, what you have learned over here. I hope you do that. Yes. It combined the both UDP and then TCP together in order to provide a multimedia content, and that is the clear protocol for live multimedia content streaming. Okay, so then the next one, which is the network layer over here for OSI model, it is being replaced when you come to TCP by internet. And the protocols over here are IP, which is the main one, followed by the auxiliary protocols, AR, RARP, ICMP, and we have the ARP and then IJMP. These are all protocols used for transmission or help in the network and then IP layer. Internet control message protocol, address resolution protocol, and then reverse address resolution protocol. Any question on that layer? All right, then final one, data link layer. Data link layer, that is data link physical layer combined to form the host or the network layer, host to network layer. And the protocols there are numerous. You also have the underlying protocols like the ARP, talk about the RARP, X25, and so on. They are there. So basically, this is what you need to know. So when we come to the two most important models in networking or data communication, these are the models, OSI model and a TCP IP. What is their purpose? Purpose is to ensure that data is transmitted across the various network platforms seamlessly without any interference. And the layers ensure that each layer has the ability of adding a feature onto each so that the data move from the sender to the receiver. And when the receiver receives the message, the reverse of the transmission process is repeated in order to make the message available for the user to see. On this note, I want to bring the class to an end and ask for questions if there are any. If not, then I'll give you my message for the day and then we are out of here.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, please, the question.
Okay.
Yeah, please, my question is, assuming, let's say a company want to build or set up a network in the company, and now you have understood that there are two types of data communication model, which is the TCP/IP and that of the OSI model. Please, my question is, the building of the network in the company is the let's say the engineers are they going to decide one of them, or the two models are going to be blended to build a network? Please, that's my question.
Oh, as you can see the comparison here, in the modern network communication, it's the TCP/IP that we use. But in terms of troubleshooting and setting up a network, as a network engineer, you have to base your setup on OSI model. But for the data transmission to take place, you use the TCP/IP for communication. But in terms of the infrastructure, you use the OSI model to build the network infrastructure.
Okay, sir. I understand you. So it means that it means that the two form part of the network that will be built.
Yes, that's why I said there are two most important models that decide how data should be transmitted.
Okay.
Yes. And as I said earlier on, the data communication and then the network, they are interdependent.
Okay.
You cannot isolate data communication from a network. Neither can you isolate a network from data communication.
Communication.
Yes. So the two work together.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any other question or concern? All right, then I know I'm having network administrators in the next few years to come. You launch into the industry and make a difference in the IT field. I hope you do that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please, even though I've summarized the lesson, I want to encourage you, spend some time and read through the materials. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Spend time and read the materials because you are tired and I don't want to bore you by reading everything to you. So I summarize everything for you. So spend time, go through, and if you have any concern, then you ask. Okay, the next time we meet, we should be talking about the addressing system, which involve the IP address, and then you also look at the physical addressing and so on. But I would like us to look at the network devices, at least have an idea about network devices, how they function, then we advance it. Then later we'll add the signals and then also the data that need to be transmitted, the mode, the way they will be transmitted. Then now finally we'll delve into the conclusion. So on this note, there are questions here for you. As I said, spend time, read, and answer them for further understanding. If you have concern, then you can come back and we'll discuss them together. I'll put some of them they are on the slide. So I'll put some of them on the elements for you. The one we did last week, they are already there. Sorry, your course was not mounted. So please, I'll follow it up and see. Oh, I think yours is there, right? Datacom, yes, it's at the LMS.
Yes,
right?
please.
Good. I think it's the level 300. They don't have BS there. So I'll check it out for them. All right, on this note, we come to the end. Then, please, one of you should volunteer to read our message of the day for us to go home and think about. For the week, this is what I want you to deliberate on as you go through your activities. Who read for us?
Okay. Message of the day. In the day of my trouble, I will call upon thee, for thy word answered me. Psalm 86, verse 7. Amen.
Thank you very much. I'll give you 1 mark for reading the message charismatically. Richmond, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good. You have won yourself 1 mark. So, this is a cry of David that in the day of trouble, I'll call upon thee, for thou will answer me. Now, can you call on someone if you don't have confidence in the person? The question is no. So, I want to encourage you. You have to build a working relationship with your maker so that in the day of trouble, you call on him and then he'll be there to answer you. May the Lord help all of you to be able to make a personal decision and make a personal relationship with your maker. At the end of the day, this is your effort that you are making in your academics. You also make an effort for your eternity at the end of the day. May the Lord help you as you do this. Those who believe, say amen to that. So,
Amen.
so as you go through the week,
Amen.
as you go through the week, may you meditate upon this. What relationship are you building with your maker? In terms of trouble, who do you call? May the Lord bless you. Have a blessed week. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, God willing, next week.
Okay, sir.
If you have any question within the week, please feel free. You can ask or send me a message. I'll respond to you. I'll create some forum over there. You can put your messages or your discussion over there. Okay, bye for now. Enjoy your football.